And we're back with more from our panel. Jeffrey, I want to talk to you about this emerging Iranian deal. We don't know what the details of it are, but I talked to Senator Cotton about what would happen if the president had walked away. He believes that tougher sanctions would have brought Iran back to the table under better terms. Walk us through the alternative explanation if the president had just walked away.
Well, this is the saving grace of the Obama administration right now, is that no one has come up with a plausible alternative to this deal that doesn't lead to open confrontation, possibly regional war. Now, we don't know what's gone inside the negotiations. Just like when you buy a car, you walk out thinking, I don't know, maybe I could have gotten that for $400 less. You'll never really know what you got, and we don't know the deal yet. But the answer Republicans give is, well, they should have gotten a harder deal. We don't know if they could have gotten a harder or better deal on this, to tell you the truth. But the problem the Republicans are going to have going forward is if you reject this deal, the Iranians will be free to go to nuclear breakout. The president has said that he will not allow them to get a nuclear weapon. 1 + 1 = 2. You're talking about military confrontation. Military confrontation does not solve your problem. It opens up possibly a whole new set of problems, including constant warfare, not only in the Persian Gulf, but across the Middle East, and terrorism internationally. So until they come up with a solution to this that doesn't lead to another full-on military confrontation in the Persian Gulf, the Obama administration has certain arguments on its side.
Susan, what do you expect if there is a deal, how this will play out in the campaign, in the presidential campaign?
Well, we should be clear that we don't know what the deal is, and that when the framework agreement came out, it was a better deal than Americans expected, than we had all expected, than the conventional wisdom had been. I think it's an issue. It'll be an issue. It'll be a partisan issue. I would expect Hillary Clinton to think it was a pretty good deal, and the Republicans to think it is not a very good deal. And the question may come down. I think we're confident from what Senator Cotton told you that there'll be a resolution of disapproval submitted in the Senate, likely to pass. Might get 60 votes, and then the question will be for President Obama: does he veto it and force them to come up with even more votes to disapprove of this deal? And if he does that, that means he is passing this deal on the basis of perhaps as few as 34 votes in the Senate, and that is a risky proposition.
Can a president do that, Peggy? I mean, he needs Congress behind him.
It's always good to have Congress behind you. You know what I think will be part of how this plays out? I kind of think people sense with President Obama that when he's in negotiations, Cuba, Iran, whoever, he always signals that he needs it too much. He always puts his face on it. He always has people leak, this is very important to us, it's part of our legacy, stuff like that. That's not a good negotiating approach. The deal in the end may be good in a way. I don't think we're going to know. It's going to be guesswork, but it will always have that overlay of he always wants it too much.
You've talked to the president a lot, Jeffrey. Where do you think his head is on this?
Well, this is so interesting. You're talking about legacy. I think that if the deal turns out to be stronger than we thought, remember, he blew past the deadline. He didn't cave to the Iranians when they wanted, they said this is the deadline, and we said no, we're gonna keep going. If that is, I think you can actually credit gay marriage in a kind of strange way for a tougher deal. I mean, the president needs a legacy now less than he used to because of his momentous week a couple of weeks ago. I mean, the trade deal and Obamacare and the Supreme Court, gay marriage, et cetera. So I think his legacy from their perspective in the White House is set already, and I think that you might see this deal be somewhat tougher. I'm hoping, at least, that you see this deal being somewhat tougher because the president might be thinking now that he needs this slightly less than he used to. I will grant you that they do signal that they want this a little bit too much. It's not a great negotiating
for a long
tactic,
time.
but this is now slightly less important from a political perspective than it used to be.
Actually, Peggy, what I thought you were going to say was that this White House has a record.
You were nodding as I spoke. I was getting all encouraged.
No, because I agree with you on this point. I believe, and this is what the Republicans I think have a point, that this president, this administration has done a really bad job since day one in negotiations from health care on down of negotiating against themselves. And I think that's been a problem consistently, number one. Having said that, though, I think your point leads me to this conclusion, which is that there is going to have to be a deal here. I think, Jeffrey, this deal is too big to fail. They put so much on this now, it's going to have to, they're going to have to come to something.
All right, Tavis, that's the last word. Thank you all very much. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back.